everybody, just a little disclaimer at the start of this video before we get started. Everything that we say in this video is purely opinion.
Or completely facetious. I really hope you can figure out which one is which. With that said, we are
Top Tier
Scrubs! And just a little introduction for ourselves. I am a semi-competitive Yu-Gi-Oh player who got into Hearthstone because of my friend John. He actually kept on going on about it at work, and I finally kind of folded and gave in. And then I stopped playing for all of Naxxramas and pretty much most of Goblins vs. Gnomes. Then came back very recently and dropped like $150 on this game. I'm very proud of myself. That said, I'm Cirrus, and this is Jensen. And how did you get into Hearthstone?
I come from a background of being a highly competitive Magic player, dropping all the money on the big decks, playing Legacy, Modern, Standard, Draft, a little bit of Vintage, everything. But, growing up, getting a job and all that, you get way less time to go to the events that you have to go to. So sometimes when you want to play Magic, but you don't really have the time to invest in the full game, it's nice to drop down and, play like a little quick 15-minute game of some sort, which is why I was super happy when my friend Cirrus here told me about a little game called Hearthstone, which is basically 10-minute Magic.
That's actually kind of true. But I thought the same thing, because I did 5 years in Magic for a while, and I really felt like it was overly simplified Magic, and that's why I quit, and then I came back for reasons I really don't know. And, well, I'm here now, attempting to make a podcast for you guys, and for us, for lulz and stuff. But that said, we're going to go ahead and move out of the introductions, and go to the news. And I'm sure the one bit of news that everybody is looking at and concerned about and wants to hear about is Blackrock Mountain, a Hearthstone adventure! Really awful.
I mean, I never said I could sing.
I can't either.
This was your idea.
Well, yeah. Anyway, that said, the neutral cards that we have so far, we do not have a release date that I know of, but the cards that we have to look at right now, we'll start with Blackwing Technician, and it's a 3-drop for 2/4, which is already iffy. It's okay.
But there's a catch to this one, Cirrus. See, this one has Battle Cry. If you're holding a dragon, it gets a +1/+1.
Okay, so I'm a really big fan of Yu-Gi-Oh, but I'm not a fan of overacting. I'm sorry, not overreacting. This is the internet. They do plenty of overreacting anyway. But yeah, it does have a Battle Cry. It does make it bigger. Effectively, if you play it at the right time, it will always be 3 mana for a 3/5, which is actually amazing.
It's a Sinjin Shieldmaster, but for 1 less and without taunt.
Without taunt, yes. But your opponent will hit it because they're mad that you got it. Just like, as far as I'm concerned, Mana Tide Totem's a great taunter without taunt. But we'll go on to the next one that has been revealed.
Speaking of dragons, we have one for the next one, Dragonkin Sorcerer. A 4 mana for a 3/5, which is fair enough.
Das Dingo!
But whenever you, the owner of this card, target this minion with a spell, gain +1/+1.
Yeah, and I can see that actually having a lot of synergies with Priest. I'm just going to buff this real quick, and now that I've buffed it, it's going to buff again, and again, and again, and now I get to one-shot Kel'Thuzad.
It's pretty sweet. All it's missing is taunt.
Yeah? Yeah, it is.
Seems to be a common theme.
Our next card, again missing taunt, is a Hungry Dragon. Battle Cry, summon a random 1-cost minion for your opponent. It's a 4-drop for a 5/6, which is unfreaking believable.
So, you get this 5/6 dragon, and they get a charging boar.
Let's compare this to a really popular 4-drop from the last set, Piloted Shredder. Piloted Shredder comes out for 4, just like this one, but it's a 4/3, and if your opponent kills it, it'll drop down to a 2-cost minion. Your average value of a 2-cost minion is going to have 2 attack, 3 health, or the other way around, or 2/2 and taunt, any variation. Let's just assume that it's going to have 5 stat, and your Piloted Shredder has 7 stats, split between 2, so it's never going to be super impactful on the board. It's just going to waste resources for your opponent. This guy comes out as a Chillwind Yeti on crack. Instead of 4 for a 4/5 Chillwind Yeti on board, making problems for your opponent, you got a 5/6 sitting there going, hey, by the way, I'm just going to eat that little one-cost minion you got that was actually worthless.
I could very easily see a lot of decks starting off with at least like 2 of these in the deck and like just a generic go-to beater.
Like, okay, so I can say this. You're going turn 2. And it's your third turn, you drop coin, you bring out this guy, and your opponent's like, I have to waste so much removal on this. And then, like, Mage is going, Fireball, get it out of the way.
Yep.
Turn 4, you drop another one.
Yeah.
And they're just like, the salt is real after that.
And that's not even your deck, that's just this card.
That's just your 5/6, right? I think this is an amazing card. Like, it doesn't even need extra synergy to just work.
Like, let's assume that your opponent gets the best one-cost minion, you know, Zombie Chow.
Zombie Chow.
Like, who cares?
Awesome! I get life. Like, the purpose of Zombie Chow is to trade up with minions and to get a 2-for-1 early so that you don't actually give your opponent any life. And this guy just comes up and goes, you know, I think you're actually Dragon Chow. But, that said...
Keeping the theme of dragons alive.
Well, that seems to be the theme of this entire thing. But, next guy.
Dragon Egg. 1 mana for a 0/2, which is...
It's like a Nerubian Egg, only requires a lot more forward thinking, I want to say.
Whenever this minion takes damage, summon a 2/1 whelp.
So, like, Nerubian Egg. 0/2, if it dies, you get a 4/4 instantaneously. For this guy to give you the same value, granted you pay 1 for it. You have to damage it 2 times to get around the same value. It'll make essentially a 4/2, 2 1/1s, or 2 2/1s. And you pay 1 mana, as opposed to 2 mana for 1 singular 4/4. The difference is there's no guarantee that this guy is going to take both hits of damage. For all we know, like if you're fighting Mech Mage, they drop Mech Warper like they always will, and they're just going to Mech Warper into this guy, and then when it brings out the Whelp, they're just going to ping it, and you will be none the wiser. Like, they can easily... You can go first, you Dragon Egg. They coin up to Mech Warper. You go, you do whatever you're going to do on your turn 2. You're probably dropping this in, like, maybe Zulok? I don't know.
I think that the best homes for this is because, like, Zulok's just going to use Nerubian Egg, right? I'm seeing this in, like, Priest, where you can buff up the toughness and keep healing it and get, like, a reliable, steady stream. Or in something like Warrior, where you can control, because you know you're going to Whirlwind or whatever and get the 1 hit, and then if your opponent gets rid of it, you're going to get the other.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, maximize the value of it. But it's... Honestly, I see this as a Nerubian Egg that requires a lot more forward thinking from the player.
But with a much higher upside, potentially.
Potentially. But it's not going to be as consistent. But that's okay, because this is Hearthstone. It has RNG mechanics. So, I mean, explosive potential is great, and sometimes bad. Speaking of explosive potential, and actually warrior damage, we have a Grim Patron as our next neutral card that has been announced. Got a 5-drop for a 3/3 here. Sounds pretty terrible on paper, but let's run down its effect. Anytime this minion survives damage, summon another Grim Patron. So, like...
Get over here and fight, maggot.
Well, he doesn't actually do damage. He just gives them 2 health.
I thought he did 1 damage and buffed them.
No, that's the warrior-specific one. That's,
okay.
I can't remember his name. He is... Come here, Hearthstone. Come here. Warrior cards... Come here, 2 drops. That is Cruel Taskmaster.
All right, just pretend that I said what he says.
Yeah, pretend that he said Cruel Taskmaster's effect. Anyway, what I'm seeing that could possibly happen with this guy is, like, you pop him out for 5, which is really awful. Like, no joke, it's really bad. But if he survives damage, you get more. So you pop him out, and then you hit him with a Cruel Taskmaster or an Inner Rage for, like, you know, your 0, and he's going to pop out another one, and then you can go Whirlwind, you pop out 2 more, and now you've got a field of 4, and you're just going to sit there and laugh at your opponent, because, like, if they kill all of them, it's fine. But let's think of things that he's actually good against. Like, say you're fighting Shaman. Shaman's Lightning Storm is their easiest out to this guy. But Lightning Storm has a chance to do 2. They have a chance to actually make their problem worse.
This guy will beat through the wolves.
Yeah, he'll beat through the wolves and make another one of himself every time he does it. Like, I see this guy hurting Shaman. I see him hurting Shaman a lot, and I see him synergizing with Warrior a lot.
Rogue, if they don't have the set, like, because Assassinate's not standard in Rogue right now. So all they can do is sap, which this guy's a 5-drop. He's prime sap, but you prime sap material, but you really want to save your
you
sap.
You prime sap to 3/3. GG, bro.
Like, you get the time walk effect of getting the 5-drop, but he didn't have taunt. He's not really stopping you. So, like, if you're getting rid of this guy with damage, like, if you don't have spell power, like, granted, this guy will die to a spell power ambush, but if you don't have spell power, you're getting, like, 1 to 2 more of these guys, which doesn't fix the problem.
Yeah, but, I mean, on the downsides of him as well, a guy running a basic deck can just drop Bloodfen Raptor on him and just go boom!
Yeah.
Or they can go like, what's that? I could have used this on a weapon, but I'm going to use it on you instead, Acidic Swampoos.
Right.
So, like, I see him having... Again, I see him like Dragon Egg. He's going to require a lot of forward thinking from the player to use.
I think his is going to come a lot easier than Dragon Egg, though. I can see Warriors going off with this.
Probably.
Because Warriors are, like, guaranteed at least 1 to 2 or 3 copies.
Speaking of some really, really powerful Warriors, let's go into our last neutral card that we've seen so far.
Our legendary here is Rind Blackhand. 7 mana for an 8/4.
Yeah.
That's pretty terrible. His battle cry is decent. If you're holding a dragon, destroy a legendary minion. So obviously that has a chance to whiff against a lot of decks.
It has a chance to whiff really hard, but like, here's the thing that I can see that coming out. Your opponent drops, you don't want to drop this on Sylvanas Windrunner. That would hurt.
Right.
Sylvanas would just take that thing right back.
I think that the most common thing this guy's going to be getting...
Ragnaros. He's going to break Raggy. Dr. Boom.
He might snag a couple Dr. Booms. He might snag a Kel'Thuzad occasionally. I think the most common thing you're going to see this guy taking out is Lotheb, which isn't exciting because Lotheb costs less than him.
But Lotheb can also kill him.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you don't want... like... The other thing I can see is, like, you can use him... And this one is just, like, purely because I'm a spiteful player sometimes. I can see, like, you're playing Warrior and you've got this guy in your deck for whatever reason, and you've been controlling your opponent's board with weapons. All of a sudden, that belongs in a museum! And you're like, God, frick, Harrison Jones. Then you draw this guy, and you're like, it's okay, Harrison Jones. It's okay.
Well... pretty not okay.
It's pretty not okay because you just
they still drew like 8 cards.
And not against Warrior. All their stuff has really low toughness.
True.
Like even Gorehowl, you hit with it 7 times, but it still only keeps 1 toughness the whole time. Like it's not. I see him as a spiteful play on Harrison. I don't see that as a good play. Like that's an awful play. You know what's even worse?
You know what else belongs in a museum?
Blood Mage Thalanos. Like drop him on Blood Mage Thalanos.
Oh gosh,
that'd be awful. But we can go to our next card is for rogues.
These are the class cards, which we've got it confirmed that there's going to be 18 new collectible class-specific cards, a common and a rare for each. Instead
of 9 like the last set. So we got a one that's better value for your players. You're going to get more out of your money. 2, this first guy, is amazing. He looks really good. He's like, okay, let me first say what he is, and then I'll give my comparison. He's a 5-drop for a 4/3, and that's, again, a pretty common theme with these, is like that's really bad value, but then his battle cry, deal 2 damage to all undamaged enemy minions. So first you have a one-sided AoE, and those are always great.
Right.
So like you can pop this guy against like Zulok with their established board and just go, hey guy, get Shrek'd, bro.
Like if aggro keeps like doing what it's doing, this guy's gonna be really good.
Yeah.
He's gonna be like just extra copies of Phantom Knives, but they hit things with 2 toughness without spell power, and also here's my dude.
Yeah, and like I don't like the fact that he's a 5-drop, but I do like what he does. I see him as like the SI7 agent, but for the full field.
Yes.
And here's the other thing. The SI7 agent has to have a spell before him, so 9 times out of 10, your SI7 agent is actually costing 4. He's actually costing 5.
The big difference here, obviously, being
he doesn't combo.
The Dark Iron Skulker does specify undamaged enemy minions, which if you play Rogue, you know that you're going to be running ambushes. And that's where the fact that the SI7 agent has combo isn't a big deal, because one of your very common combos, when you're not Shiv SI7 agent to take out 3 drops and draw a card, is ambush SI7 to take out 4 or even 5 drops again if you have spell power.
Yeah.
So, like,
but see, this guy doesn't need combo.
Right. He anti-synergizes with ambush, but it depends on what the metagame does, but hopefully he's in a position where he doesn't have to synergize with ambush.
I can see him, like, hurting Face Hunter. And anything that hurts Face Hunter makes me happy.
Unleash the Hounds?
You mean Unleash the Dark Iron Skulker. And my favorite deck is actually Shaman, so this next card makes me really happy. Lava Shock. It's a deal 2 damage for 2. That's okay-ish, not really. But it unlocks all of your overloaded mana crystals. So now, if I'm on turn 5, and I need to clear out a damaged minion or a late 2 drop from aggro or something, and I have to go like Feral Wolves to defend myself from aggro, and then I can Lava Shock the stuff that you're aggroing me with, and now I'm not locked out of my turn 6. And that's what I see this as a really good thing for, like, not locking myself out of plays.
I'm not sure. Will this work on the turn that you... So, like, when you cast the Feral Wolves, you get the Overloaded Mana Crystals. Will this work that turn, or will you have to actually wait till your turn 6?
Oh, you're right. It is the other way around. You'll have to, You'll unlock your already overloaded mana crystals, not the ones that you'll have a turn later. So, yeah, you'll drop him... You'll drop this, and it'll unlock your crystals, and you'll be free on that turn again. So, like, okay, so this guy could actually make Earth Elemental not suck.
Right.
Like, he could make Earth Elemental not suck as much.
Yeah. Man, sapping Earth Elementals feels so good.
That's why I don't run Earth. I run Sludge Belcher in that slot for that reason. Because, like, Sludge Belcher can go back to my hand. I don't really care. I'll run again.
So, Dark Iron Skulker and Lava Shock were both rares. So, our third class card that's spoiled is actually the common for Warrior. It's a Axe Slinger, 4 mana for a 2/5, which I actually don't hate.
It's got health.
Yeah.
Like, it's got health. That's a good saving grace.
That's probably, like, the only card in this format in this so far that we've seen that has health.
Yeah.
Whenever this minion takes damage...
Well, there was the dragon.
True. Whenever this minion takes damage, deal 2 damage to the enemy hero.
And that's why he has health. So, like, maybe we'll see... I don't know if anybody remembered back in basic days... Warrior Tryharder. Warrior Tryharder was just brutal. Oh, turn 5? I win. Arcanite Reaper? Like, turn 2, you got out Fiery War Axe, punched into them. Turn 3, you were just, like, summoning things with charge, and, like, by the time you got to your turn 5, you just Reapered in for game. So I could see this guy, like, being the start of maybe a resurgence of Tryhard Warrior again.
I'd like to see something like that. That deck looks fun.
Yeah, but, Speaking of decks that look fun, that's all the stuff that we have been able to find so far on Blackrock Mountain. But our next section is actually Deck of the Week, and the deck that I've been running lately and have been having a lot of fun with, even though it's not really that great, is Raging Worgen. And for anybody who doesn't know, you basically take the Raging Worgen, which is a 3/3 for 3, but Enrage, +1 in Wind Fury. So we open up the decks. I still have it built here. Your main cards for this are Inner Rage, Rampage, Charge, and anything else that can do damage to your Worgen. Then obviously the Worgen. And then after that, you just run a lot of draw power like Acolyte of Pain, Shield Block, something to stall out so you can survive like Annoyatron's, again, Shield Block. Deathbite, again, it's another thing that can trigger him. You need something that can trigger his Wind Fury. But basically, you survive till your turn 10, and then you drop this stupid combo. You've got the 3/3 Worgen. You damage him with 1 or 2 Inner Rages. 2 Inner Rages pops him up by 4. His own ability gives him 1. So now you've got this 8/8, or this 8 damage Wind Fury, and then you hit him with Charge. You got a 10 damage Wind Fury, hitting your opponent twice for 20 on turn 10. You're running a Warrior with weapons. You should already be beating into their face, just at least a little bit. This guy comes out, and if they have no taunt, he just pops out and goes, "Hey, I win."
Which, speaking of taunt, the biggest weakness to this deck is definitely
taunt.
Sludge Belcher.
Sludge Belcher hurts this thing. Like, I was running... What was I running? I was running Mortal Strike to finish off people when I didn't get the Rage Worgen, but I lost so many times to Sludge Belcher making this deck function that I ended up putting in 2... Instead of the Mortal Strike, I ended up putting in 2 Ironbeak Owl to make sure that I never had to deal with a Sludge Belcher ever again.
Yeah, like, it was, watching you run this deck through its paces, like, it was brutal.
Yeah, but you did see that, like, when I had the Ironbeak Owls...
Oh, dude, you remember the first thing I said about this deck was, "That's sweet."
That was so dumb. Like, he just started spectating me. He's like, "Holy crap, what is this?" But, obviously, this deck isn't actually really competitive because it relies so much on, essentially, a gimmick combo.
Yeah.
It really does.
Like, literally, if they have a taunter, you do lose.
Yeah, you have to make sure that this taunter goes. So you run, like, 1 Brawl, but even then, you're basically, like, selling your soul to RNGesus.
Which is always a happy place to be for a competitive card game player.
Yeah, but after that, I'd say that's probably the most we can say about the deck. We'll put up a deck list a little later, probably. But
maybe do a video.
Maybe do a video for it. But we'll move on to normally we're thinking about doing this next section as major meta changes, but there's no changes since the last video that doesn't exist. So we'll just move on to notable cards. So this section we're gonna do like any cards of note that we've seen so far, and they don't have to be great. They just have to be cards that like pique our interest. So let's say the first one is actually Mistress of Pain, and so I'll let Jensen go on this one because it was actually his suggestion.
All right. So here's the thing about Mistress of Pain. The card says, well, first of all, let me give you its stats right quick. It's, for those of you who don't know, it's a 2 mana for a 1/4, which I'm a fan of big butts, and I cannot lie.
Yes, but here's the thing.
Whenever Mistress of Pain deals damage, restore that much health to your hero.
So we've got a one attacker healing 1 health. So you get 1/2 of the life cost of your life tap on a warlock.
Right.
Which is pretty awful.
But like, just think about it, okay? Because like you got Demon Fire. You know.
You can make it bigger, but like, okay, so
you got Shattered Sun Claret.
See, here's the thing, Mistress of Pain. I want you to be a 2/3. Like, I want your big butt to be a little smaller, and then I want your front to be a little bigger, and then you'll be perfect.
What if she was a 4/1?
If she was a 4, she'd be awful.
Hold on. Now, granted, she wouldn't live through anything, but you'd get an almost guaranteed 4 health return against non-mages.
But see, here's the thing. Say you're in the mirror and you just get mortal coiled. You'd be the saddest person in the world.
They probably drew a terrible card anyway. Karma.
God. She's just like, I want you to be good. And like, there is one deck she's good, and that's Hobgoblin. Because Hobgoblin makes her come out as a 3/6.
I mean, like, granted, like, you could probably put her in a deck and it'll be fine. Like, you play her turn 2, you ping with her a couple times, and then you, power overwhelming her, and then get a big burst of life and kill a thing.
Yeah, but you know what else works better for that? Anti-Heal Dot. It just fills that role so much better.
But it costs 5.
And so much...
2.
Instead of 3, you mean. And 1 card instead of 2 cards. The card economy is a thing.
I mean, barely.
Let's move on to the next card. You're in denial. Next card is Doomhammer. Like, another card that I want to love, but I can't right now, and not because it's bad. It's actually really good. You can pop this thing out, and you can get super value out of it. It's a 5 mana for a weapon with 2/8, and it's got Overload too, which is kind of bad. But when you consider the fact that it's gonna beat in to your opponent's cards constantly for the next 4 turns, and you're going to get 4 damage out of it for 4 turns, pretty good. And you can also use it as a quick win combo on turn 6 if you've already like eaten some damage out of your opponent's life. Pop out Doomhammer, you pop Rockbiter weapon on it, 10 damage instantaneously, your opponent's sad, but
it belongs in a museum.
Exactly. Like, budget decks are going to use Acidic Swamp Ooze on this. Decks with an actual budget available to them are going to pop out Harrison Jones, and like the day that this came out of my deck, I was fighting a druid, and we were both 3 cards, and I'm like, I have 2 hexes in my hand. I can deal with anything you pop out. We're in the late game, and you're not playing middle druid. I've got this. Bring out Doomhammer to clear his field out. All of a sudden, it belongs in a museum.
How many cards did he draw, sir?
Drew 6! He drew 6!
Now, you know, I'm a little new to Hearthstone. You got me into it recently. Is that good?
I don't know. Is Pot of Greed banned in Yu-Gi-Oh! For a reason? Would 3 Pot of Greeds for 1 card be great? Yeah.
Ancestral Recall is a thing.
It is in Magic. God, that hurts so much. Anyway, last card to get out of my pain that I'm feeling in my gut right now from that is Jensen's little card of choice right now?
So, the deck that I'm playing currently in my grind towards Legendary is I'm playing Rogue Oil, which, if you're not familiar, it's the deck that wants to, basically combo wall with Tinker Sharpsword Oil. And the safest thing to do it with is the Shade of Naxxramas, because it gets bigger by itself and has Shade. But, like, you also, just any creature will do. You get your
stealth?
Yes, stealth. I'm sorry. Did I say shade?
You said shade.
That's
the
fine.
shade has shade.
It does have shade.
The fedora has fedora.
It's fine. But, you pop it out. Like, any creature will do. You get your 6 damage. If you're lucky, you get your 12 damage off of it. And you're basically just like a tempo-y aggro burn deck. Like, I want Master of Disguise to fit this deck so much. Master of Disguise is a 4-mana 4/4 with Battlecry. Give a friendly minion stealth. That's really good. And, like, I can imagine, dropping your Shade on turn 3, sitting on it, sapping, doing your rogue thing, and then after your Shade is, like, 6, 7, 7, you pop a spell, you pop the Tinker Sharpsword Oil, you beat in for 10, and then after you swing, you drop the Master of Disguise to give it stealth again, so that they can't interact with it, so you get your guaranteed 2 swings, maybe even more. Like...
Until it belongs in a museum.
Well, at that point, they're going to destroy your weapon and they'll get 1 card off of it. But, like, your Shade's still coming in strong. And
true.
Let me tell you about Harrison Jones. He don't deal with an 11/11 Shade of Naxxramas very well.
It's true.
The major issue with this card is that for what I want to do with it...
It costs way too much.
4 mana, like, because you want to cast this card the turn that you combo off with the Tinker Sharpsword Oil, and you specifically want to combo off after you swing with it, which means that this cannot be the card that enables combo on the Sharpsword Oil, which means 8 mana plus you have to trigger your combo meaningfully.
Now, like, let me compare this to a card that does a similar job in the opposite, but a very similar job, Dark Iron Dwarf. 4 mana for 4/4 just like this one, but instead of allowing you a second turn of attacking, it allows a minion already out to trade up. And I feel like something like that obviously doesn't work for the Tinker Sharpsword, because, 2 extra damage, but Tinker Sharpsword does that way better anyway. But I feel like he's like the easy, way more functional idea for that. It works for different decks, obviously.
Right.
But, like, he works because he looks good for his value. She doesn't work because, like, she doesn't look good for her value.
Like, she's a powerful card, and her effect will definitely win you. Like, if you cast her and you can get it to go off, I feel like her effect will easily win you game.
It'll easily win you game.
It's just like mana efficiency, and in a tempo-oriented deck like Rogue, efficiency is king.
Yeah, and it's not gonna win any games for you. Not at the cost it is at right now.
Yes.
But it might have a use later. It might have a really good use later on down the road.
I mean, I could see something like bounce this card back to your hand. It costs 2 less. Like, we have that effect. Like, but that's a lot of work. But
yeah, but
I can see it.
That said, we are hitting like the 28-minute mark, and that's okay. Let's keep going.
Yeah, just make this our first episode a little longer because we had to do our introduction and all that.
Yeah, but anyway, we go. Next thing is what we've been playing. Obviously, Jensen's been playing Tinker Sharpsword Oil and basically brought out the combo that's there. For those who don't know the combo, here's the guy who actually runs the deck, because I don't.
Alright, so Tinker Sharpsword Oil, let me just see here. It's 4 mana, give your weapon +3 attack, which, rogues have a 1/2 weapon always. So that will give you about 8 damage, because it'll make your weapon into a 4/2, and then you can hit twice.
Yeah.
That's good. But it says combo, give a random friendly minion +3 attack. I'm not a fan of the word random, but in the rogue deck, you don't play a whole lot of creatures.
You have like 6 creatures in the whole deck. And 2 of them are Zur'Rake.
So you're pretty, like, it doesn't matter what you put it on, as long as the thing can swing and you can get your immediate value out of it, because the 3 damage is the 3 damage. And it's pseudo-random, because you're pretty much in control of where it goes.
It's like Ragnaros being random. As long as you know how to clear a board out, he's never really random.
The big problem is the Violet Mage. Is that her name?
Yeah.
Violet Mage. She's very important for the deck, because the deck is a tempo deck, and she's insanely good, because you're running all these controlling spells and getting all these free creatures and things like that. But you got to be careful with her out, because when you cast the Tinker Sharpsword Oil, she will pop out a 1/1 that has a chance
of getting the sharp sword oil and then be killed by a mech mage's ping.
Yes, and then you're super sad.
You've got like salt coming out of the wound.
Like it doesn't happen very often, and it's pretty easy to keep it from happening. But like, just bear that in mind whenever you have that violet mage out.
Oh yeah, and then the deck that I've been playing right now is mid-range shaman in my grind, and I really like shaman. I can't even explain why I like it, because I recognize that it's not really one of the best decks. Like, it's just okay mid-range, and you know what does mid-range better? Muster for Battle Paladin does that way better, but like, I like the tools that Shaman has. I like Hex, 3 mana, drop a thing down to 0/1 taunt. I like being able to just go, hey, that's a neat card. Be a shame if it just became useless. Like, I like that. I like Fire Elemental. A 6/5 for 6 is but you know, popping a 3 damage on something afterwards, it's like, that's a neat knife juggler you've been playing with Face Hunter. Be a shame if it just burned to death. Sucks. And a card that I really like, or 2 cards I really like. One is Manatide Totem, one's Defender Vargas. Specifically on the Defender Vargas, though, I really like this card. It's 4 mana, 2/3. You've all seen it in Zulok. Makes 2 adjacent minions get +1/+1 taunt. I love this in Shaman because totems. Scrotum totems. They just pop out all the time. And you're just like, so you know these things I make for free that don't cost me anything? Now they have bodies. And taunt, so you have to get through those bodies. And I really like that. And then I'm running Cairn Bloodhoof and Dr. Boom in here, and Sludge Belcher. Just like, those are my high-cost things to make sure that I get value out of them. And then 1 antique heal bot because nobody likes Face Hunter.
I'm sure if you guys stick around long enough, we'll probably post our deck lists up. Like,
yeah.
The ones we settle on.
Yeah, because like right now we're still figuring out exactly where we want these things to sit. I change this thing like once every week.
Right.
I swap things out. Like I had Earth Elemental in here literally 3 days ago, and then I was like, wait a minute. I had 1 Earth Elemental and 1 Sentient Shield Master, and I was like, wait a minute, hold on. What am I trying to do? Value? Yeah, those guys are leaving for Sludge Belchers.
Right. And then there's still a matter of like picking up cards. I know that I still need my Blood Mage Thalnos.
Yeah, and I literally just went like, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna drop $40 on Hearthstone to make Dr. Boom.
Yep.
Because like, I dropped that on Yu-Gi-Oh to make my extra deck, or make something for my extra deck. Because like, that's 1 extra deck card in Yu-Gi-Oh, so I don't feel really bad.
So like, how much dust did your extra deck in Yu-Gi-Oh cost?
Oh man. Relatively speaking, I think my extra deck in Yu-Gi-Oh would cost about I got 1,200 dust off of $40. So like,
anyways,
let's multiply that by like 6 or 7. Oh god, I crafted like 8 Ragnaroses.
So this last segment here to close out the show, this is where we would put any like our fan topics that you guys would send in that we would like go over and discuss or whatever, and you know, like fan cards that you guys want us to talk about, sort of like our, you know, notable cards where we do our commentary and talk about them, which as you can tell don't have to be good.
Yeah, they don't have to be great. They just have to be things that we like. So let's talk about what in my opinion is the best card in the game.
Hey, that's not fair. It was my favorite card in the game first. You're totally ripping on me here.
Okay, well, speaking of ripping, this thing would rip you a new one. Like, it costs 3 mana.
Dude.
So it's a 3-drop, has 5 damage. So good.
Dude, you understand that this trades with Lotheb.
Yes.
So, like, if you're a mage and, like, you're having problems with Lotheb, you can put 2 of these in your deck right quick, and I guarantee, like, you're going to drop more often than they draw the Lotheb, and it's going to trade up because you can drop it down before they have the Lotheb, and then
You fight Shaman, they bring out Fire Elemental, they kill your Mech Warper, you're all sad. That's right, Magma Rager, 3 damage.
So I think you might have figured out it's Magma Rager.
It is Magma Rager.
3 mana, 5/1, threat-killing machine.
I know, it's so freaking good. Okay, so, like, let's look at the card description. He likes to think he's powerful. He is, though. He knows he is. This guy's great. Let's go on to the next sentence. Pretty much anyone can solo Molten Core. But here's the thing.
He's not there anymore.
He is the one soloing Molten Core.
Dude, like...
He's glass cannoning the shit out of it.
Let's look at all of the things that Magma Rager eats. Magma Rager eats Millhouse Mana Storm.
Oh, he eats the mighty Millhouse.
Magma Rager will just kill the shit out of Warwalker Choke.
He will.
Don't
Nat
even care.
Pagel, he blows the crap out of Nat Pagel.
He kills a totem every turn.
Oh my god, every turn. You bring out a totem and he's just like, hey, you brought out 2 totems. Each totem you bring out costs 2 more, but I cost 3 all the time.
He eats half of Sludge Belcher.
He does. He eats Sludge Belcher's better half.
He even eats Sludge Belcher's second half if something else kills the first half.
Yes, very
He's
true.
a team player.
You could give him Divine Shield and he can eat both.
Aw, dude.
He can eat them for dinner.
He eats Azure Drake.
Oh, yeah.
He eats Harrison Jones, which I know you were having trouble with in your deck. You might think about adding 2 of these in your shaman
Magma
deck.
Rager does not belong in a museum.
He does not.
No, he belongs in the raid for He is the raid in Molten Core.
Dude, I would wear him as armor.
I would wear it. Is that a Monster Hunter reference?
I mean, no, yes. But he'd have like a really weird name if he was in Monster Hunter, like a Magmadoron Regirio or some shit.
Yeah, that would probably be. So obviously...
And his armor would have like -7 fire resistance for whatever reason.
Yeah, obviously, the truth behind Magma Ragers is like, I think this is probably the worst card in the game. Like,
hold on now. Like, even... Okay, so here's the thing. Even if he drops out, like, your opponent has to trade a card with them. And if they're mage, they have to... Because at turn 3, they only have 3 mana, you know? So, like, unless they're mirror image, like, they have to have exactly mirror image or arcane missile, or else they're...
Clockwork Gnome.
They're using their entire turn to kill this guy. This is... Do you know how powerful Time Walk is in Magic the Gathering?
But see, this is Hearthstone. You see what I did there?
I'd put 4 Magma Ragers in my deck still.
See, problem is, this is not.
First pick every time in Arena.
So like, if this guy was a 3-star, 5,000 attack, 1,000 defense in Yu-Gi-Oh, I would play him too.
Right?
But like, he's not. He's in Hearthstone. Which makes him infinitely worse.
But like, he's going to kill something. Unless it has taunt.
He's gonna kill Paladin's recruit. He's gonna... And then he'll die.
No, he's going to kill the Paladin's other thing and leave that recruit. He has standards.
But I think you're forgetting one fatal flaw. Again, this isn't Yu-Gi-Oh! So guess what he comes out with? Summoning Sickness.
You could play Charge on him. And then he'd have 3 toughness, wouldn't he? Charge gets +2/+2?
Yeah, but like...
Dude, there you go.
I think that's a good time to like end. Now that we're just going through... Now we're trying to justify Magma Rager's place in the cosmic universe.
Send us in your deck list that make Magma Rager awesome.
Yeah, do that. Totally do that. Make me respect this card for more than like digital coasters for drinks.
He's the best.
He is the best. And with that said,
we are the top tier scrubs.
We are the top tier scrubs. I was totally gonna do that at the same time, but I'm really awful.
It's okay. We're both bad. That's why we are named that.
Yes.
I'm Jensen.
And I'm Cirrus.
And we'll catch you next time.
Yep. Have fun, guys.